Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining. So today I want to talk once again about Stellantis. Stellantis, of course, is the European conglomerate that purchased Chrysler and Chrysler vehicles, which of course includes Chrysler cars, it includes Dodge, it includes the entire Jeep lineup, and Ram trucks. And it also owns many other brands worldwide. They, being a European conglomerate, they have a philosophy of wanting to go all electric and wanting to be a green company. And of course, there are advantages for the corporation if they do that. They all of a sudden have to convert the entire fleet of cars worldwide into electric. So of course, this is probably one of the reasons they're all for it. In any event, now we go to California, and you may have already heard, I've talked about this previously, that California has put in an EV mandate such that by 2035, the only cars you'll be able to buy in California are EVs, electric vehicles. And starting now already, we're working towards that goal for California and the other 14 states that have signed on to this deal. So for example, by 2026, I believe it is, they're supposed to have 35% of all new vehicle sales all electric. So, it's not at all realistic. It's not at all realistic on a number of fronts. First of all, people don't want electric cars. There are so many negative ramifications and disadvantages to having an EV over a conventional fossil fuel powered vehicle. So that's number one. Number two, EVs aren't clean. They are not necessarily clean for those who are doing this for the quote environment. Let me read something from a great article that was in the Washington Examiner at the end of last year. It was a piece by Benjamin Zeicher. In any event, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just want to go down to this part. For conventional vehicles, replacement batteries are only about $250. They used to be about $50. I don't know when they jumped up all of a sudden. In any event, they say $250. For zero-emission vehicles, battery replacement costs are enormous, around $16,000. And I've actually heard, depending on the car, that that's kind of a low estimate. There are substantial toxic metal pollution attendant upon the production of batteries, and only the cobalt in them is currently economical to recycle. Enormous quantities of lithium, manganese, and nickel are likely to end up in landfills, which predictably adversely affect the environment. There also are the emissions resulting from the production of EVs and from power generation needed to charge their batteries. They are anything but clean. So the other major point I wanted to make regarding Stellantis is that Stellantis has said to meet the goals of these EV mandates in the 14 states that have signed on, that Stellantis will stop stocking gasoline vehicles in these 14 states very shortly. Because as I mentioned, part of this EV mandate to go all electric by 2035 also states that, again, by 2026, we must be at 35% new car purchases that have to be electric. So Stellantis has signed on to this. To meet that goal, they are saying they will not stock for vehicles lots gasoline-powered vehicles. So you will still be able to purchase them in these 14 states. However, you would have to do it as a factory order. You wouldn't be able to go onto a car lot and say, hey, that's a nice-looking car. I'd like to buy that gas car. They will only be electrics on the lots, again, to kind of force people into electrics. It's not something people want. It's something that they're being forced to do. And by the way, when did we, as the citizens of the country, vote for this? This is like a big deal, and it is not something we voted on. It isn't even something that our legislators have voted for. Have those in Congress and in the Senate voted for this? Do you recall this bill being passed? I don't. But for some reason, this is all being pushed on us, and it is being done by regulators. This, again, is the opposite of a, quote, free country. This California EV mandate, which 14 states have signed on to, that wasn't voted for by the citizens of even California, or it was dictated by CARB, the California Air Resources Board, which basically came up with a regulation saying this is what we need to do. So they've imposed this, forced this on the citizens of California, And the citizens in the rest of the country, in basically the 14 states most immediately, and the rest of the country will be affected by this. So again, this is absolutely ridiculous. The benefits are not there. It's nonsense. And one other thing about electric vehicles, well, a number of things about electric vehicles. We have seen many, many articles and many statistics discussing the fact that the electric grid cannot support this. Last summer, there were brownouts and blackouts in the state of California because the grid wasn't enough to support air conditioners in homes. And they also, very funny, shortly after they start ramping up EV sales, they told the California residents, hey, don't charge your EVs. We don't have the capacity in the electrical grid right now, so do not charge your EVs between this hour and this hour. So, with all of a sudden, with just a small number of EVs in the fleet of California cars, they're being told that the grid can't sustain that. So this is something, another incidence of where this is absolutely ridiculous. So again, we should not be doing this. This mandate is not something that we signed on for, and it's just a pipe dream by these eco fascists who want to impose this on the rest of the country. We've seen over time, as technology basically moves forward, that cars, fossil fuel cars, gas cars, diesel cars, are so much cleaner than they were just, a few years ago. And that's what happens with technology. You don't come up with a technology and then just replace it because you think that this new technology is better. When you have a technology such as internal combustion engines that started off much dirtier than they were and now have gotten incredibly clean. Gas-powered vehicles now are considered PZEVs, practically zero-emission vehicles. If you look back at Los Angeles in the 70s, you had an incredibly smoggy city. And in the summertime, they had, what was known as smog days where there was just horrible smog in the city every day in the summertime. And they said, people be careful when you're going outside, don't overexert yourself. And it just was not clean. But they have cleaned up fossil fuel vehicles, since then with computer controls, with fuel injection, so that they are now incredibly clean. And in Los Angeles now, you don't have smog days. I mean, if there's one smog day in the summertime in Los Angeles, that's like really something. But if you go to Los Angeles now, you look around and it's a beautifully clean city. The air is clean. You can see as far as in any other city. So fossil fuel vehicles, gas vehicles have gotten incredibly clean. So there's no point in replacing them when they are clean, they are efficient, and they are just great cars. They are so good that we don't have to all of a sudden throw the baby out with the bathwater and get rid of them. So there we go. I just wanted to give you an update, especially on Stellantis not wanting to stock gas vehicles in their dealers' lots very shortly moving forward in the 14 states that have signed on to the California EV mandate. Just, really bad news, and hopefully things turn around at some point. But that's up to us. We need to make our voices heard, and hopefully it'll happen. If you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and like this video. Subscribing especially helps. It really helps the channel, and it helps me move forward with bringing you more videos. So thanks again. We'll see you next time. Take care.